What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a Six-Man Blitz episode. I got my special guest once again, Zach. How we doing today? We're gonna
Doing great,
be
doing great.
we're gonna be breaking down NBA playoffs. The playoff series are heating up. The last two rounds of this season. A little NFL talk. Brock Purdy, one of my quarterbacks that I hate on the most. Got a payday. We'll break down that. You ready to get into it?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Now, so the playoffs this season, I feel like has been really interesting. There's been a lot of
Very.
injuries. A lot of stuff has happened with, some of the top stars, Steph Curry getting
Mhm.
hurt, a lot of guys that got banged up. But I think Adam Silver, whatever he was cooking in the back, he cooked up a pretty good final two rounds. You you look at like all the four teams, well, three of the four teams that are left haven't won an NBA championship yet in their franchise history. The Knicks, they won a finals, but that was in 70s.
73.
So we're in position to see a franchise potentially get their first championship ever. And I think the last 7 years, seven different champions. So this is great hoops. What do you is this like a playoffs that you can get behind with the parity and all that? What are your thoughts on it?
I definitely can get behind it. Seeing the new teams, the young stars finally getting into somebody's gonna get their first championship,
Oh
which is
yeah.
exciting. But the Thunder, it'll be their first, chance at it. Um, they could get their first championship as the Thunder, but they have a championship as the Seattle Supersonics.
Mm.
Um, but I think that will be interesting as, I know that Oklahoma City fans are very loyal.
Mhm.
Been waiting for, a championship, and I think they have a good shot at it this year.
I know that I was surprised by how they handled business the other night against Denver, Game 7. I mean, they was locking Jokic up. They were
Yeah.
playing so well defensively, and this is probably one of the best defensive teams we've seen in NBA history. I mean, Caruso was on a tear. They got hella defenders. So yeah, they have a really good shot. Shea played really well down the stretch.
Mhm.
I think he was efficient as fuck from the field, had 30 points, and J Dub showed up in
Yeah.
game 7. So I was surprised about that. So the Thunder, I like their chances. But do you think, with this parity in the playoffs right now, you think this is the end of the big three era?
I do think it is the end of the Big Three era, just because I think we're going into an era where like depth and pieces matter.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's showing, and I feel like it started to show a couple years ago, but I think it's definitely showing now that the final four teams, it's all about depth and the pieces. Excuse me, the pieces that they have around each of their star players. Um, but I will say, going back to what you said about do you like how the playoffs have played out? I do agree with what Aaron Gordon said yesterday or 2 days ago about how he wishes that the playoffs games were like a little bit more spread out, just
Oh
because
yeah.
we did miss out on a lot of good matchups with the Warriors series, for example, just by Steph being banged up and then other players being banged up. I
That
think a
series
few
could have went
days.
longer.
Yeah, I think it would have had the potential to go to Game 7, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing, bro. We like these game sevens. It's a slug. It's a
Mhm.
gauntlet of a matchup, and then you get to game 7, and then that better team just handles business because the
Yep,
other team is just beat up. I mean, Aaron Gordon, shout out to him for playing with the grade 2
I
hamstring strain.
know that's ridiculous. I saw him like when they said he was going to play. I was like, "There's no way he's going to play with a
we
grade
just
two hamstring
we
strain."
just saw Curry not play for like 4 straight games.
I
Like with
know.
it's crazy. But yeah, shout out him. It seems like he was the only one that really gave a damn other than
Yeah,
maybe cuz like he was out there trying his hardest. MPJ didn't show up. Jamal Murray, was a no-show as well. So Russell Westbrook another another ass performance for the playoffs for him. But we'll get into Denver, what they should do. More on, you talked a little bit about the Thunder, their fan base. What fan base and franchise do you think deserves a chip the most?
that's a great question. I would say just because of everything that they've gone through, I would say Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Just by the departure of Kevin Durant, how it happened. And the year
Russ.
prior, or a few months prior before he left, they were up 3-1, ready to go to the finals and
Yeah.
blow it to the Warriors. Um, Another departure of someone who was loyal to them, Russell Westbrook, and they also had James Harden. So I think that fan base deserves it.
I don't think
But
in Oklahoma City they've never won a championship. Just that that part
right,
of the world. Yeah, Oklahoma City they've never won a chip in anything.
no,
So that'd be nice. I think the Knicks just would be so funny to see them and how they'll act. Like
yeah,
just the
yeah.
aftermath. People say it's gonna turn into Gotham.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It'll
Yeah,
definitely be cool to see if the Knicks win the championship, how they'll act all in Madison Square Garden.
just them getting to the
Just
finals.
oh
They'll
yeah,
they're gonna go crazy. Um, And it's yeah, the Knicks, like Jalen Brunson. There's just a lot of stuff that will happen if that team wins a championship. A lot of
hmm
interesting conversations. Indiana, really, like Indiana winning a chip would mean nothing to me.
yeah.
It
Me
wouldn't be
either.
a championship that we think about. Probably a Mickey Mouse championship.
Yeah.
That would be the Mickey Mouse championship out of the four. Minnesota would be nice too. Um, I know they really. I don't. Yeah, they haven't won an NBA championship. I don't know. Has Minnesota Vikings ever won a Super Bowl?
No,
So I
no.
think it might be their first championship. I don't know how the Twins have done, the Minnesota
Yeah,
Twins.
I don't
I'm not
either, to
really
be
locked in,
honest.
but yeah, Minnesota, that would be nice for them. I would say, yeah, if I were to rank the franchises and the fan bases, I'd go probably New York, a little
hmm
bias there, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and then Pacers. Yeah,
I agree.
I think, yeah, if the Pacers make it to the finals, I think everybody's gonna be a little
Oh
disappointed.
yeah, for sure. I know I would be.
And I mean, depending on matchup, I guess, Minnesota versus Indiana probably would be interesting, but, um, let's rank it, in terms of most interesting finals matchup and what finals matchup you wanna see, and then your prediction.
Most interesting, I would say the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Knicks.
Yes.
Um, Carl Anthony Towns, Julius Randle, they both get their revenge matchups in a full series when it really matters.
I think that would go
Um,
7 too.
me too. I agree. Especially if the Knicks show up because they do have issues showing up at
Oh,
times. But
yeah.
I think if they're locked in for a full 7 game series, then that would be an exciting series. I also would want to see Oklahoma City versus the Knicks as well. That would
That'd
be
be a
pretty
great series
interesting.
too. Minnesota versus Knicks. Anthony Edwards talking shit to Madison Square Garden fans. Just like that would be great.
That
Him,
would
him
be
and Spike Lee going at it.
oh yeah, that would be absolute cinema right there. That'd be cinema.
Oh shit! What was he saying to Denver fans? It was just hilarious. He's just telling them to go home, cussing at them. So I think, yeah, just the intensity. I think we would see it like immensely. Carl Anthony Towns guarding Julius Randle,
Mhm.
Anthony Edwards on Brunson. Sometimes him picking up that
Yeah.
matchup a couple times. Just two of the most clutch players in the NBA right now, maybe in the playoffs that we've seen so far with Brunson and Ant. Like, yeah, that'd be exciting to watch. And then Oklahoma City, yeah, the Knicks. I think if Oklahoma City makes it to the finals, I would want to see them against the Knicks because if I see them against the Pacers, that might be a gentleman's sweep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think. But yeah, Brunson, he has enough star power. Carl Anthony Towns could get going. Him against, Chet. I think he would bully Chet
Yeah, he could.
if he wants
That's
to.
definitely a possibility. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, I think the matchup everybody wants to see is the Knicks T Wolves. Just see those two defensive teams. Just a lot of star power. That would be the finals that would put the perfect cap on this playoffs. I
Oh
think.
yeah.
What would your finals prediction be? Then it would be T Wolves versus Knicks.
Yes, T Wolves Knicks. I would say T Wolves in 7.
Ooh,
I
yeah. I
think
mean,
that
yeah, that would be the scenario where I'm like, whoever wins, I don't care. That'd be
yeah,
like
but
for
to
the
me
first time in a while.
oh yeah, for sure. But to me, I think the T Wolves are the
The
clear
better
favorite
team.
right now to win it
Uh,
all. I think they've looked the best out of everyone in terms of the playoffs and how it's shaped up so far. So
Yeah, I think so too. Anthony Edwards, big storylines for him getting the chip. But yeah, that'd be obviously the
yeah.
best series. It's so then the next question. You probably say Anthony Edwards then. Who's the player you want to win the chip the most?
Anthony Edwards. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the aftermath of it. Like he would like they would paint him as the Jordan. He would take the mantle
Yeah.
of the league.
Yeah, I love his game, his personality. Like as much as he doesn't want it, he's pretty much
Yeah.
going in the trajectory of being the face of the league. So
And the last person for him to take down is SGA. There was a video Stephen A. Smith was interviewing him. He was like, "Oh, like the top 3 players in the league right now: Luca,
yeah, I saw
SGA,
that.
you."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm better than all of
Yeah.
them."
It's his
So
confidence. Yeah.
and just SGA versus Ant, I'm excited for that matchup. Just those 2 guys going at it. But yeah, his game is perfect. It's the most like marketable game, the most
Hmm.
marketable player right now. I mean
Right.
that commercial with him singing Fantasia.
Yeah, that's hilarious. In the Bentley, yeah, that commercial
Yeah.
was hilarious.
But no, yeah, it's he could benefit the most from winning a chip too, I think, out of the couple teams. But let's get into well, first, we haven't got to the point yet where we could see which part of the trade benefited which team the most. But right now, who would you say won the trade between the T Wolves and the Knicks? Both teams in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals.
I think I would give the slight edge to the Timberwolves just because I feel as though when
They're
Anthony
less
Edwards,
equipped. I feel like they have less players. Like
yeah,
the Knicks are
exactly.
deeper, in my opinion.
Right. No, I agree. And I also think that, when Anthony Edwards hasn't shown up like in the first 3 quarters until he explodes in the fourth quarter, I feel like Julius Randle is that guy that,
Yeah,
keeps the Timberwolves afloat or whatever they need. I feel like he's that guy for them. And I feel like for Carl Anthony Towns, he can have his moments where it's like, what are you
yeah.
doing? Like,
He takes a couple breaks. He takes a
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And that's
He's
not really
not the picking
Julius
up
Randle.
slack. Right,
Right.
and that's what surprised me the most about this playoffs is how much of a factor Julius Randle has been. Obviously,
Hmm.
he's that second guy, but there's question marks about him in the playoffs, but he shot, better from 3 that he's ever in the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
He's averaging 23 a game in the playoffs. I think he's shooting 40% from 3, and he's been great defensively against guys like LeBron James. Yeah, he's just picked up the slack. Anthony Edwards hasn't had to drop 30. He hasn't had to average 30 like he did a couple playoffs ago when he got like a win against Denver that one series. But yeah, just him being the playmaker, scoring,
Hmm.
playing well defensively, like this has just been a huge playoffs for him. And I think personally, he's been better than Cat was last year in the playoffs.
I
And
agree.
Cat, I think he averaged like 2019, maybe around that range, but he hasn't been the scorer. He hasn't made the impact that Randall has made. And we've seen, the Timberwolves coast in the playoffs. Damn near.
Hmm.
They've gotten a
Yeah.
good break. They've been damn near chilling. But it's going to be crucial to see how he does against the Thunder. I think that's a big matchup to watch. We could
Oh
get
yeah.
right into that. The Thunder, obviously, I think they're favorited to win this playoff series from the betting odds. Personally, I think the Timberwolves have the edge. They have more experience. Anthony Edwards versus SGA is going to be a nice matchup, but I think the most important matchup in this series is J Dub versus Julius Randle. Which
Hmm.
which second guy is going to be the most impactful? J Dub, he had some question marks this last series.
He
I mean,
did.
this last series, there's a lot of inconsistency with him. He finally had a good game 7, but right now I think you're trusting Julius Randle a lot
Hmm.
more than J Dub.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, who do you think is gonna have the better series out of the two?
I think Julius Randle will because he usually gives you what you want and what you're looking for. But J Dub, there's always, like you said, there's always question marks about if he's gonna show up. What J Dub are you gonna get out of him tonight? And I feel as though, Julius Randle, excuse me, he always gives what the Timberwolves need.
Mhm. In whatever capacity, yeah. If Anthony Edwards got it going, he's got 30 points. Julius Randle's going to give you 23 with a couple assists and a couple rebounds. Um, the Timberwolves, they're the bigger.
Hmm.
Oklahoma City has the speed on them, but these are 2 teams that could throw hella defenders at you, hella elite defenders. And I think obviously the matchup is SGA versus Anthony Edwards, but the role players are going to play a factor. I think Oklahoma
Big
City Thunder,
factors.
they have Kassan Wallace off the bench, Caruso, those two guys to throw at you, Aaron Wiggins. I think if Nas Reed hoops in this series, if he's better than Chet, I think you give the edge to the T Wolves. That's another thing to watch out for.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how, because Nas Reed, low key, like he has a couple playoff series where he's a 20 points per game scorer,
Yeah.
and then he has a couple series where he's just like, knocks down a couple shots. But
Hmm.
his impact is still felt. So, um, getting to the most important matchup, SGA or Ant, who are you taking?
In terms of what situation? Just
Like
overall series or
overall series, and then in the clutch.
overall series? I'm gonna say Anthony Edwards, just
Okay.
because I like his style of being able to attack, and his confidence is always at an all time high.
Mhm.
And even SGA said going into Game 7, he was a little bit nervous, and you won't
Should have
get
kept
that from
that to
Anthony
himself.
Edwards. You won't get that from Anthony Edwards. So in terms of that, I'll give the nod to Ant. But in terms of clutch, who I need to take the last shot or who I need the ball in their hands for the last 2 minutes of the game, I might say SGA.
Okay. And he was pretty good in this series against the Nuggets. He picked up things the last couple games. As soon as that one loss he had where he was smiling and cheesing at the end, they
Hmm.
really picked it up after that. And he started
Oh
playing
yeah.
really well, knocking down a lot of baskets. But I think Anthony Edwards is that, this Timberwolves team, they're gonna have to punch the thunder in the mouth. And I think it starts with Anthony Edwards. He's gonna have to take it to SGA. What we've seen from him, like the series against the Lakers early on in the series, they attacked the Lakers. They punched them in the mouth. The series against the Suns punched them in the mouth. Against Denver, like there was a point in time where, hey, the Timberwolves imposed their will. So they really have to do that. They can, beat them on the glass too. The offensive rebounds are going to be crucial. One thing they can't do though, the Timberwolves, they can't turn over the ball, and that's something they do a lot. And look at the Thunder; they're first in forcing turnovers, so they really have to be careful with that. Ant has to be careful with that. Um, what are you thinking though with like in terms of how far this series goes? 7 games?
I'm gonna have to say 7 games. I don't
Okay,
think.
see, at game 7, I mean, they got kind
Yeah.
of loud. It kind of sounded like New York over there.
Oh yeah. I think it'll go 7. I don't think either of these teams will allow it to go any less than that. Um, and that makes me excited to see a Game 7 with this series, with
Yeah,
this matchup. And there will be a lot of fireworks in this series. But I don't see either SGA or Ant allowing this series to go below 7 games.
right. And the Thunder, this is a really good basketball team. Timberwolves, they're playing with a lot of confidence. Yeah, these guys, they elevate themselves, and it starts with Ant. You see big production out of multiple guys, different guys each game. So I'm interested to see who are the big factors. I gave a couple. Mike Conley is going to be somebody who's going to need to get this offense going,
Oh yeah.
facilitate them, cut down the turnovers. I think I give the coaching advantage to Chris Finch, though. I think with the experience, him being in this, position before, I like what he does with his matchups, his rotations, adjustments, a little more than what the Thunder coach does. Um, but yeah, this is going to be a fireworks series. This is probably going to be one of the best playoff series we see in a minute. Wrapping up this series, one question: who would you rather start a franchise with, Anthony Edwards or SGA?
Oof.
Tough question.
That is a very tough question. Oof.
I'm gonna say Ant. I just like I feel like he embodies that culture that you want. That culture that's can be sustainable, a culture that
Yeah.
can, get through any type of season. You lose a couple guys, Anthony Edwards is still going to be able to get you to the playoffs. SGA is a great player. I like his game. He's getting better and better year after year. But I think you put SGA in Minnesota, you flip flop the two. I think SG,
Yeah.
I think SGA isn't as successful as Ant is time and time again, personally. And
I
what
mean,
he's go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, when you look at it through that lens, I can agree.
Uh
I would lean towards Anthony Edwards anyway.
huh.
But I didn't want to just completely dismiss SGA and his game. But I would lean towards Anthony Edwards starting a franchise with him.
I think he's a better leader too. And
Oh yeah,
this
yeah,
might be biased, but like I think it's just a little more entertaining. And as ownership, Anthony Edwards is going to put butts in the seats.
exactly.
Like
Yeah, for
he's going to
sure.
bring the most attention to your ownership to your franchise. And what he's done with Minnesota has been crazy. I mean,
Oh
two
yeah,
straight Western Conference Finals appearances, taking down legends every playoffs. Kevin Durant, like LeBron James, him pushing and
Nikola
shoving LeBron James,
Jokic,
Jokic, like
Luca.
this is some shit we don't see too often.
No.
We rarely compare a young player to Michael Jordan. So I think I give the reins to him. And I honestly think OKC's a little corny. Like some of their
Oh
interviews,
yeah, a
like
little
the
bit.
dog barking and shit, they be glazing the hell out of SGA. But it's good team chemistry. But I like personally, as you know, a franchise trying to instill that right culture, I personally lean more towards that team that, you know, kind of that team that's gonna punch in the mouth. That Detroit Pistons tough, gritty basketball, and I think Ann Edwards would provide you that. Um, but he is somebody you have to worry about with the knucklehead shit on the side.
Oh yeah, 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 for sure. But a lot of people love that. So, and that's
Uh,
just who Ant is. He's a
yeah.
competitor, and that's somebody you would want in your
Oh yeah.
organization.
100%. He still carries himself pretty well. It's just, you know, the
Oh
baby
yeah,
mama drama and shit.
yeah.
As long as it's not the John Morant shit or
Oh yeah, then we're
you
good.
you can work with it as long as you're not John Morant or Zion, who's had his issues staying
Mhm.
healthy and New Orleans food. We know how that is.
I will
um,
say this is a YN versus nonchalant
uh,
series.
I've seen that shit and it's hilarious because no, for real, the Thunder are nonchalant, but it's not just Anthony Edwards.
It's
Everybody
not.
on this Timberwolves team embodies that. Like McDaniels, like
Mhm.
except for Rudy Gobert, his ass was getting
Th-
choked. His ass was getting choked by
there
Draymond Green. Remember?
Yeah, I do remember that, and I know will always remember that. But I will say though, this is a more respectable team,
Yeah.
the Minnesota Timberwolves are, than what the Grizzlies. I think this is what the Grizzlies wanted to be.
Oh yeah.
When they had Dylan Brooks, John Morant.
And it's funny, like that. You look at the Grizzlies and you think that team's deeper on paper. You would be like, "Oh, this team has a lot to work with." Minnesota, DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels. He's not somebody that's dropping 15 a game regular
Right.
season. He's giving you 11 a game, couple good performances, but in the playoffs, all these guys elevate their game.
Oh
Julius
yeah.
Randle, even he was averaging 18 a game in the regular season. So this team definitely is playoff full of playoff risers, and they have the right veterans. A guy like Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, even Joe Ingles. He doesn't see any time, but he's just
Yeah.
a nice guy to have in the locker room
Exactly. For sure.
to
For
balance it
sure.
out.
You always got to have an old head like that in the locker room.
But yeah, that's a perfect statement. Minnesota. I mean Memphis. They definitely they should have been worried about the West.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Um, I feel like yeah, if Anthony Edwards would have said that, and with the resume he's put out the last couple seasons, yeah, we would have definitely been like, all right, yeah, makes sense,
Yeah.
checks out.
Yeah.
um, but moving to the Eastern Conference Finals, how do you feel about this playoff series? Brunson, Halliburton, Knicks versus the Pacers. What's your thoughts?
This will be a very, very interesting series. It's not the series that everyone has their eyes on,
But
but
I think it'll still be phenomenal.
it still will be a phenomenal series. But I will just because the Pacers have honestly surprised me throughout the playoffs. I know they were in the Eastern Conference
Mhm.
Finals last year, but I didn't think that it was going to. I didn't think they were going to do it again. And they proved me
Even
wrong for sure.
even with Cleveland, I mean, I know Darius Garland was hurt, but Cleveland, you still think it's a better team,
Exactly.
regardless of like the injuries happen, but you'd still think they'd win that series. But
Exactly.
the Pacers, man, this is a nightmare team for like if you are taking your foot off the gas, they don't
Yeah, you don't want
play
to do that. Yeah.
in the fourth quarter, bro. Like they've had two games where they've came back down 7 points with a
Hmm.
minute less in the game. They force multiple turnovers within the inbound pass, all that. Like this is a tough team to play. They push the pace. They just go go go. They're relentless. Siakam, this is like one of the most underrated players in the NBA. I think personally, he's a
Oh yeah.
bucket getter. he's an NBA champion too. One of the few right now in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Spicy P. Might need to change it. Might need to change that name. That name doesn't have the same aura as it used to. Um, but he's somebody that has actually been really great against the Knicks.
And
Josh
don't sleep
Hart,
on Miles Turner either.
Miles Turner, he's another bucket getter. He's going to stretch the floor. He's
Mhm.
actually been shooting pretty well from three this playoffs. He's somebody that I thought would have been traded the last couple
Oh
seasons,
yeah.
but he's stayed in Indiana and he's a big factor for them. That, Miles Turner versus Carl Anthony Towns. Carl Anthony Towns has gave him the work, and the
Mhm.
Pacers, he's averaging 30 a game against the Pacers in the regular season, shooting 50% from the field. So if Carl Anthony Towns can dominate in the series, the Knicks should win in 6.
Oh yeah.
I think Brunson, he's going to outplay Halliburton too, but it just comes down to that Carl Anthony Towns. If this second option could be elite, if he could dominate like we've seen him in the regular season, it's going to come down to that.
I actually agree with your prediction. I was going to say Knicks in 6,
Okay.
especially if they um get off to a hot start like they did against Boston. I think they need to do that in order to have a chance in this series because like we talked about, you don't want to, you know, take your foot off the gas against the Pacers. You want to,
Yeah.
you just want to put it on them.
Yeah, and that you gotta punch him in the mouth, similar to what we were talking about with the last series, because the Pacers, you hit that snooze, hey, you're down 2-0 in the series because they
Yeah.
are just that well coached. They have
Mhm.
they're well conditioned. They're deep as hell. The thing
They
about this
are.
series is the Knicks, they play a 6, 7 man rotation, whereas the Pacers, they have 10 guys that go out there every night, and these are 10 guys that could give you impact. So that's going to be the tough part about this. That's probably why we saw the Knicks the last time they met up with the Pacers. We saw 3 dudes from the Knicks go down with injuries
Mhm.
because they're playing like 48 minutes. Josh Hart was playing every minute of the game
That's been
that whole
Tom
series.
Thibodeau for years though.
Bro, they were up 30 points. They still got Josh Hart out there, Jalen Brunson. uh, but Tom Thibodeau is my guy. Hopefully he gets a chip,
Oh
for
yeah.
that'd be nice because every year, if he doesn't win a chip, every year they're gonna say they should fire his ass for the stupid shit he be doing.
Oh yeah. Yep.
uh,
And that
but
goes
I
back to the Chicago days of him
Derrick
playing
Rose,
Derrick
man.
Rose, Jimmy Butler for, 48 minutes a game.
It's insanity, bro. It doesn't make any damn sense. D
Nah.
Rose shouldn't have. D Rose should have got out of the game. I seen this guy. I watch a lot of his shit. Kenny Beecham. You watch the numbers on the board,
I
all
think
that.
I've heard, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's a Chicago guy, and he said he turned off the Knicks game because he got PTSD of D Rose, getting hurt. Because yeah, it just I get what he's trying to do. Obviously, the culture, like he's done a good job with it, but
Right.
you gotta cut that shit out, especially when you got your guys going against a deep ass team like the Pacers. Um,
Mhm.
I think Halliburton is the one person I don't want to see win a ring.
I agree. I
For
agree.
some reason, I just don't fuck with his game. I don't fuck with him as a person. I don't know why. It's just it's just
Well,
a
I mean,
bias.
I like him as a person.
Oh, maybe
Um,
I yeah, maybe
he,
I went too far on that.
yeah. I like him as he's a good dude, but he's definitely not overrated. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's
But
not. He's proved that.
I do agree he is my least, favorite to win the championship this year, just because I mean he brings the least amount of attention out of
Yeah.
the 4 teams that are left. So
I was watching Jeff Teague, his podcast, and they were saying that if he wins, it would be like a Kawhi Leonard championship, a
exactly, yeah,
championship
I can
we
see
don't
that.
really talk about that much.
Right,
It's
right.
like I don't think even with him winning a championship, unless he like drops 30, averages 30 this series, and in the finals outplays SGA, I don't see
Hmm.
him getting into that top 10. Is that
Right.
crazy? Is that crazy to say?
No, it's not. It's not. I don't see him in the top 10 either. But, a lot of people will try to maybe put him in that top 10.
Pacers fans.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think he has a nice game. He's a very clutch player. I mean, this whole playoff run, 2 game winners. Like he's done his shit. I could see him having a good series, but I think Brunson is going to go to work. I think he'll be the
Mhm.
better player in this series. Brunson, I mean, I seen some stat. Let me see if I can pull it up. But it was like I think he has 40 points in the clutch, and every other player behind him has like 26 points.
Yeah, it's
So
ridiculous.
Brunson has
That's
been hooping at
ridiculous.
another level. And yeah, he's gonna get a fucking statue, even if he just takes them to the finals, bro.
Oh yeah, Jersey's gonna be in the rafters, and oh yeah.
I fuck with Carmelo. Like that was a player that I really liked watching.
Hmm.
If he gets a championship, he's gonna surpass him. Maybe even Ewing, bro. Maybe
Yeah,
even
man.
I just those guys didn't get a championship in New York. Obviously, they dealt with, Michael Jordan, LeBron
Hmm.
James, a tough,
Yeah.
tougher competition in the East. But I think Brunson just coming in, being one of the most clutch players in the NBA, just what he's done for this, team, reviving them, bringing them back to relevancy. If he
Hmm.
gets him a championship, yeah.
Oh yeah, he surpasses Melo for sure. Unfortunately, and we may need to have some uncomfortable conversations about him passing up Patrick as well.
I think he'd be right now. I have him top five. Um, we could get into that. Top five players in the NBA. This is my list right now. Let me give it to you. Pause. I have Jokic still at number one.
Okay.
I have Giannis at two.
Mm.
I have SGA at three, but it's fluid, like Stephen A. Smith be saying.
Okay. Okay.
We could change some things depending on how the rest of the playoffs go. And then I have Ant at four, and then
Okay.
Jalen Brunson at five. Tatum at six. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay. I was expecting you to say Luca in there, maybe.
I don't fuck with Luca, bro. I'm a Nico Harrison stan, bro. I don't fuck with Luca.
I mean, understandable. I feel like I do agree with your list, but I will say, Luca in shape is definitely in that top five for me at least. But
Pre-American
like you
food.
said, it's fluid. It's fluid. Yeah, exactly. Um,
um, I
but
fuck with Luca's game. I mean that finals run where he took the Mavs to the finals, he was hooping. But I think the thing
Mhm.
that just kills him is he's a liability defensively. Just his effort, just the body language. That just to me that I got to put guys over him. I'd probably put him
Okay,
seven,
yeah.
8, maybe.
No, I can agree with that. I don't really have a problem with their list. I would say, for the most part that's what my top five would look like.
Okay.
Um, I would maybe have SGA right now over Giannis though.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he's probably gonna get MVP. Well,
Hmm.
he's definitely gonna get MVP. But I think Giannis, I still think he's like phenomenal. I mean, look at what he did against the Pacers that series. He was
Yeah,
averaging 30, 15, like he just had no help.
he's a dominant player. Yeah, for
Yeah, he
sure.
still had no help. So I think him in any other situation, I think we would look at him still right behind Jokic, up with Jokic as that top player in the league. But Jokic, though, the game seven, having Alex Caruso body him, having Alex Caruso
Man.
lock him down, I might have to look at this list twice. I might have
Yeah,
to rethink
yeah.
some things with him. I still wouldn't put SGA over Jokic yet. I mean, maybe if SGA gets a chip, then he's probably two, still fringe three. Whoever wins a chip this season, this playoffs, whether it's Ant, Jalen Brunson, or SGA, I think. Well, if it's Ant or SG or Jalen Brunson, I'll put them at three over SGA.
Okay.
Depend on how the playoffs go. Like I said, it's fluid. Um,
Oh yeah.
so we both have back to the next Pacer series. We both have it going 6 games. Knicks
Hmm.
handling business. I think they got home court advantage. So if it goes seven, it'll be in Madison Square Garden. So we'll see. Hopefully a game seven. What do you think though? Like, if you had to predict how many game sevens do you think we see these last two rounds? Because the last couple game sevens, like I said earlier, they've been cheeks.
Yeah. I will say. I mean, we talked about how the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder series would be one of the best series we've seen in a while, and I don't think that Game 7 would disappoint.
I don't either. Yeah.
two young teams, two teams that are hungry for a championship. I don't think you can really go wrong with a possible game seven with that series.
Yeah, I think yeah. I hopefully like we see just game sevens the last couple series. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think we have
that'd
the
be phenomenal.
potential to see that. Um, with these last four teams, all of them are young, hungry. They're trying to compete. They're trying to win their first championship, their
Hmm.
first ring of their career, and jumpstart them in the trajectory of being one of the best players in the NBA. So I think there would be a lot of intensity. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.